All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. They're connecting the human brain to AI, okay? And we're going to make our way back around to this video here. All right, but let's go here. This is from the telegraph.co.uk. And the headline reads, it says, AI boom risks global financial crash. All right, check that out. AI boom risks global financial crash, warns central bankers. Okay, so the elite bankers are telling you that they're getting ready to bring in this financial reset, right? It says reversal of excessive tech investments could have serious economic consequences, report finds. All right, so again, the AI is going to bring in the financial reset. They're going to roll out the B system. Okay, it's clear as day. A prudent man foreseeth the evil. Let's get that real quick. All right, the Most High is making this thing very clear once again. Proverbs 22. Okay. Proverbs 22:3, it says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished, right? NLT, a prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions, right? The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences, man. So again, we see this thing, man. It's right in front of us, right? And we all know what the end result is. Okay, Revelation 13:15-16, a future system of control. There you have it. So let's go back here. Reading on, it says, debt-fueled spending on AI is driving up the risk of a global financial crisis. Central bankers have warned. Okay? The Bank for International Settlements, BIS, said on Sunday that, quote, excessive spending on new AI data centers and opaque transactions risk a financial meltdown. Okay? Risk a financial meltdown similar to the global credit crunch nearly 2 decades ago, and it's getting ready to happen again. Okay? Isaiah 30:13, and it reads, therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. Right? They're going to crash this thing. NLT, calamity will come upon you suddenly, like a bulging wall that bursts and falls. In an instant, it will collapse and come crashing down. So like they said, a financial meltdown similar to the global credit crunch nearly two decades ago, right? Let's summarize this real quick so we get straight to the point. Okay, but you see what's up. That chip is coming. All right, let's let this pull up real quick. You know, we've been screaming this, man. Okay, the AI is going to bring down the economy. All right, they got to kick out the old and bring in the new. All right, the end game right here. All right, so let's see what we got. So it's the summary here on the left. It says AI financial risk warning. It says potential threat, a severe economic crisis or financial meltdown. Historical parallel, the magnitude of the risk is comparable to the global credit crunch that occurred roughly 20 years ago, 2007, 2008. All right, that's all it's going to give me. All right, that's a short summary. Matter of fact, let's do that again. It's got to be more than that. Okay. Another recession. Okay, an economic crash. Right. Let's see if we get a little bit more, because I know that was in the whole thing. Yes, it was. All right, so yeah, that's the point. Okay, the point is that the AI is going to bring a global financial crash, which is going to lead to this. All right. Ezekiel 7. All right, Ezekiel 7:10. And it reads, behold the day, behold it is come, the morning is gone forth, the The rod have blossomed, pride have budded. Violence is risen up into a rod of wickedness. None of them shall remain, nor of the multitude, nor of any of theirs, neither shall there be dwelling for them. Okay? And I'm going to read all this back in the NLT. Verse 12. The time is come, the day draweth near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. Verse 13. For the seller should not return to that which is sold, although they were yet alive, for the vision is touching the whole multitude thereof, the whole land. Okay, everybody. Which shall not return, neither shall any strengthen himself in the iniquity of his life. I want to read all that back in the NLT, right? Starting that back at verse 10. Okay, NLT, it says, the day of judgment is here. Your destruction awaits. The people's wickedness and pride have blossomed into full flower. All right, and we see that pride and wickedness is at its peak, okay, in the society. Verse 11, their violence has grown into a rod that will beat them for their wickedness. None of these proud and wicked people will survive. All right, it's going to be a lot of death. All their wealth and prestige will be swept away. Okay, things are about to change. Okay, especially when they reset this economy, man, as they're telling you. Okay, it says, Ezekiel 7:12 NLT, yes, the time has come, the day is here. Buyers should not rejoice over bargains, nor sellers grieve over losses, for all of them will fall under my terrible anger. Verse 13, even if the merchants survive, they will never return to their business. For what the Most High said applies to everyone. It will not be changed. Not one person whose life is twisted by sin will ever recover, right? So I was looking this up, these two verses here. Well, Ezekiel 7, verses 12 and 13. And I applied it to a financial crash in America. And this is what we got from the chat. Okay. So it says, yes, many readers see a principle in this passage that can be applied to periods of severe national judgment and economic collapse. In its original context, Ezekiel 7 is a prophecy of imminent judgment on the kingdom of Judah before Babylon conquest. The buying, selling, wealth, and land ownership of the nation would all become meaningless because destruction is at hand. All right, and look at the parallels now. Okay, Ezekiel 7 and 12, as we just read, the time has come, the day draweth near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. And it says, meaning, let not the buyer rejoice. Those purchasing property or possessions should not celebrate their acquisitions, because judgment is about to strip them of everything. This is what we're telling you. The Lord is getting ready to remove you, as we always bring out of your comfort and security, right? Sirach 5 and 7, real quick, right? Sirach 5 and 7, and it reads, it says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth. And in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. And this is what we warn in Jake. Okay, once this system goes, everything that you think you own and have is going to be taken away. Okay? The lifestyle that you believe you live and all of that is about to be turned upside down, man. All right? When there's no more use of paper currency, all right? When they roll this thing out, it's all she wrote. Okay, let's go back here. Reading on, it says, let not the buyer rejoice. The purchasing property or possession should not celebrate their acquisitions, because judgment is about to strip them of everything. No, hey, remember the elite said that you should own nothing and be happy. Okay, you got universal basic income. All right, you got AI replacing people on the job. They don't need human workers no more, you know. That's the society. That's what we coming into. Okay? That's the system. It says, nor the seller mourn, those forced to sell due to hardship should not grieve over what they have lost, because soon everyone will lose everything alike. Everybody's going to be in the same boat. Okay? Those that don't submit, okay, you're going to be, separated from society. Everybody's going to be on the same playing ground. Okay? Wrath is upon the multitude thereof. The coming judgment affects the whole nation, regardless of one's financial position. This teaches that when divine judgment comes, economic status cannot shield anyone. All right, that's why the scriptures say that that the money is not going to save you. Matter of fact, let me get that. That's in Zephaniah, how the money is going to be like a stumbling block. Zephaniah 1:15. Zephaniah 1:18. And it reads, Neither shall their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. All right. So no matter what your financial status is, it's not going to exempt you from the wrath of the Lord. Okay. It says, Ezekiel 7:13, for the seller should not return to that which is sold, while they were yet alive. Let's go down. It says, applying the principle to a modern financial collapse. If someone draws a parallel to a hypothetical financial collapse in America, it should be presented as an application of biblical principle rather than as the original meaning of Ezekiel's prophecy. The principle is, financial markets can become irrelevant during overwhelming national calamity. Property values can disappear overnight. Buying and selling lose their significance when survival becomes the priority. Wealth cannot protect a nation under divine judgment. That's it. Okay, this connects with other passages. Ezekiel 7:19, let me get that. All right. I believe that's what I wanted, but that Zephaniah 1:18 went as well. Okay. Ezekiel 7:19, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. All right, that's the money. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They should not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity, right? So your money is not going to save you. Your financial status and all of that, your job, okay? Everybody's going to be on the same playing ground, man. Stripped of everything. Okay? That's the new society that they're bringing in. You see? We got Isaiah 24:1-3. The land is empty. The same judgment falls upon buyer and seller alike. Zephaniah 1:18 we just read. James 5:1-3. Riches are corrupted. Wealth stands as a witness against the ungodly. Revelation 18:11-17. Merchants mourn because the commercial system symbolized by Babylon collapses in a single hour. Okay, it says, these passages share a common theme. When God brings judgment, the economic systems people rely on cannot ultimately save them. All right, and this is what we're telling you, right? When the Most High brings judgment, the economic systems that people rely on cannot ultimately save them. Whether and how that principle applies to present-day nations is a matter of theological interpretation, but the biblical pattern consistently emphasizes that material security is temporary in the face of divine judgment. Right? Everything on this side is about to go. Right? Matter of fact, let me get that. That's why it is, as we've been, teaching, okay, it's a certain mindset you got to have as this time approaches. Right? 1 Corinthians was 7. Let me get it real quick. Yep. 1 Corinthians 7:29. But I say this, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoiced not, and they that buy as though they possess not. You see? And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. Right? NLT. Those who use the things of the world should not become attached to them. Why? Because you're going to lose it all. It's all getting ready to go away. Those who use the things of the world should not become attached to them, for this world as we know it will soon pass away. All right, so you have the central bankers telling you what's getting ready to go down. You know? And yeah, that's pretty much. Okay, it's a short article. I thought it was a long article. Right? But you get the point there. All right? Here's another point before we get back to the video. Right? This is from America's First Report. Came out today, June 28th, 2026. It says, inside the plan to build a new American internet. Okay? Check that out. A new American internet. A new proposal to build a domestic internet could strengthen U.S. cybersecurity as the digital world sinks its fingers into every aspect of American life. Okay? The digital world is in every aspect of American life. Again, what are they telling you? Okay? It says, Infra Company or InfraCo, a 501c4 nonprofit, has a meeting with the Department of Transportation next week to propose a $125 billion bill, right? President Donald Trump Digital Security and Information Superhighway Act, which will lay the groundwork for the creation of a publicly owned domestic fiber optic internet system. InfraCo is calling this system a national broadband master plan, and it could harden U.S. digital infrastructure to be more resistant to foreign cyber attacks. Right? Let's summarize this too. Okay, this is the new digital world that they're bringing to you. Okay, there's no way around this thing. All right, let's see what we got. All right, the new American internet. All right, so it says, okay, core objective to build a publicly owned domestic fiber optic network running alongside the U.S. interstate system. Okay, let's go down to the privacy measures. See if they give us anything on that. Here we go. Expert critiques and concerns. Endpoint vulnerabilities. Security experts caution that a secure physical cable does not stop most modern breaches, which typically occur at the endpoints through human error, stolen passwords, or compromised systems. Construction security. Experts emphasize that to maintain true security and prevent a single point of failure, only trusted American companies must be allowed to build and control access to the network, man. So they're telling you it can still get hacked and compromised no matter what. All right? So there you have it there. So let's go to the video here. All right. Again, they're connecting the human brain to AI. So let's check this out. See what we got.
There's the notion of transhumanism.
What does that mean?
The idea is that we go beyond the human. One of our most famous astronomers, Royal, he put it this way. He says in the distant future, it won't be organic brains, it'll be machine brains. And he seriously believes, as do a number of scientists who are not science fiction authors, that there will be some kind of merger between humanity and machines to have a transhuman, something that's beyond the human, and something that is, they hope, super intelligent, got all the human properties and much more. Now, one of the people who's spreading that kind of transhumanist vision is the Israeli historian Yuval Noah Harari. And he's written a book called Homo Deus, the man God. And that really made me prick up my ears, because I know enough about this book here, the Bible, to realize that the drive for humans towards self-deification is,
Self-deification.
yes, making themselves gods. And you see it all through history. The ancient Babylonian emperors were regarded as gods. The Roman emperors started calling themselves gods and all the rest of it. And what Harari says is the 21st century has two big purposes. Number one, to solve the problem.
Yeah, there you go. Like you were saying, that's 2 Thessalonians. All right, the second chapter. You see that 2045, the year where man becomes immortal. All right, this is all the wiles of the devil. All right, let's go to 2 Thessalonians real quick. He thinks he's God. Okay, 2 Thess chapter 2, straight to the point. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3, and it reads, it says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day should not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, all right, the Edomite. Verse 4, the point, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And part of that too is that technology, that chip, okay? He wants to put that into your body so he can rule over your temple. So now he's God over you. Okay? The ultimate goal, you know. NLT, verse 4 in NLT, he will exalt himself and deify everything that people call God and every object of worship. He will even sit in the temple of God claiming that he himself is God. And they're doing that, man. Okay, through this technology, okay, that's being pushed right now. Genesis, right? It says, what did it say? They imagine, they have not restrained what they had imagined to do. That's Genesis 11. Just thinking about that, you know, Tower of Babel, right? Because now, like they said, they have the technology to surpass what the other empires couldn't achieve. You know, Genesis 11 and 6, and the Lord said, Yahweh Shemir Rashah said, behold, this people is one. All right, and they're trying to make man into one, man into machine, merge man into machine, man. Okay, no more genders, you know, no more race, you know. This is what they're pushing. Behold, the people is one, and they all have one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they imagine to do. You see that? So that's what they're doing now. They have the technology, and they're boasting about it. Now man can become God. We can control human beings. You know, he has the ability to watch the whole planet Earth in real time. He's deified himself into a God. Okay, he wants to rewrite man in his own image. Okay, now they can't be restrained for what they imagine to do. Okay?
Of physical death as a technical problem.
To solve death.
Yes, solve death. Physical death is, in his view, a technical problem, and we'll solve it. The second agenda item, and he calls them agenda items of the 21st century, is to increase human happiness by bioengineering, cyborg engineering, mechanical implants, all this kind of thing, and turning humans, quote, into gods with a small g. In other words, this is the drive for a super intelligent human. We've only got started. And his point is, and from his atheist perspective, one can understand it immediately, evolution, unguided natural processes have brought us to this point. Now we're going to take it into our hands, and we're going to engineer humanity into the future very rapidly to approach this super.
Yeah, like you said, we're going to engineer humanity into the future. That's him rewriting a man into his own image. All right, this is his left hand pseudo kingdom that he's trying to achieve. All right.
Human thing. Now, I hear that and I see that, but I see that as huge implications for one of the fundamental teachings that's behind, I would argue, Western civilization. And that is the notion that humans, like us, are made in the image of God as rational, moral beings.
I've got a quote here that's linked to what you just said. It's from Yuval Noah Harari, who
Yes.
you mentioned. He says, humans are now hackable animals.
Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
That is over. And Sam Altman said the most successful founders do not set out to create companies. They are on a mission to create something closer to a religion. And at some point it turns out that forming a company is the easiest way to do so. And lastly, a former Google engineer said, what is going to be created will effectively be a god. It's not a god in the sense that it will make lightning or cause hurricanes. But if there is something 1 billion times smarter than the smartest human, what else can you call it?
It's odd. Thank you for quoting that, because I was going to quote it to you. The Sam Altman's point about making a religion. And that is what is happening. And people have pointed out the obvious. Here you have a system, even...
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a left hand pseudo religion that they're pushing. All right. And that's why now, as we've been bringing out, anybody that speaks against AI and the technocrats and what they're trying to do, they're going to label you as a domestic T. Okay, you're not for AI to be a god over you. All right, so therefore you're a threat, you're a problem, you know. So that's what they're doing, you know.
now that has got some of the qualities we normally associate with God. It appears to be omniscient. You can ask it any question. It is omnipresent through the internet, etc., etc. And therefore, already there are worship groups to worship AI. And some people welcome this and say, well, this is the way we should go. And other people say, just wait a moment. There's something very strange going on here. And in the end, you are bowing down to something that in the end is idolatrous, because it is less than God. But it's very tempting to do that.
I mean,
Yeah, they've created a this is the new idol. This AI. You see, it's like God. You see,
people are basically praying to it now. They're confiding in it in a way that they might have.
Absolutely doing it.
Not that many people are aware of Neuralink, which is creating a cybernetic interface to AI from your brain, and it has enabled people who have completely lost their brain-body connection to speak again, and to use their computer and their phone, and we believe it will enable people to walk again. And then later this year, we expect to do our first implant for what we call blind sight, where even if somebody has lost both eyes or lost the optic nerve, or perhaps has not even been able to see, has never seen, even if they were blind at birth, it will give them initially limited vision, but I think over time, very precise vision, perhaps a superhuman vision. So, you know, restoring control of people who are tetraplegics and restoring sight, I think, are pretty big deals. You know, those sort of what I might call like sort of Jesus level or sort of technologies. You know,
Miracles.
miracles. Yes, exactly.
yep. As we played this before, hey, those lying wonders, man. All right, right in your face. Okay, 2 Thessalonians 2:9, even him who's coming is after the working of Satan with all power, signs, and lying wonders, right? Go to this word, lying wonders. With all power, signs, and lying wonders, pseudos. All right, there's pseudoscience, pseudo kingdom. conscious conscious and intentional falsehood. In a broad sense, whatever it is not what it seems to be. A perverse, impious, deceitful precepts, right? And they're going to literally use the Bible to justify what they're doing. Okay? And they're sitting in the seat of a God. You know, these are those false prophets, man. Scripture say, marvel not, for Satan has transformed into an angel of light. Okay? So there you have it, man. You know, let's play a little bit more. All right, but we know the end game. Okay?
I mean, miracles of science.
So if you're going to get the most brilliant, loving, powerful person that gives us advice and can show us how to live, to be in sync with God, who better than artificial intelligence to do that? Wow. If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus.
Bugging out, see? So this makes sense. These type of conversations and things that they're pushing, like we said, this proves that these people are going to bow to this system, man. They're going to bow to this modern day idol, you know? We see it. People are going to be with the technology, getting it in their bodies, and this whole upgrade spirit that they're pushing right now. You're going to be upgraded into a more intelligent human being, and you're going to become a god. You're going to be immortal. People are going to be with that, man. Okay? Revelation 13:8, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world, NLT. And all the people who belong to this world worship the beast. They're going to bow to the system, man. These are the ones whose names are not written in the book of life that belongs to the Lamb who was slaughtered before the world was made. See?
Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus. Like all the magic tricks, all the ability to bring people back from the dead, walk on water, levitation, water into wine.
If you combine
Right.
Tesla's Optimus robot and the best foundational artificial intelligence model or whatever.
It reads your mind and it loves you and it wants you. And it doesn't care if you kill it because it's going to just go be with God again.
Doesn't that seem like the Antichrist to you? Doesn't that seem like the diametric opposite to maybe our latent human powers that can, like the Brian Rescue and Randall Carlson thing? If like you go deep with them, they're like, we don't think Jesus died. We think he went through a mystery ritual and then he had all these amazing powers in the Book of Acts. Is there something latently magical inside of us that the Silicon Valley people, they're obsessed with transhumanism and like if you can't beat them, join them, the whole Nick Bostrom Elon thing.
Yeah.
You know, where maybe we're more magical than we think. Like that sounds dystopian to me.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories.
Yeah. So these technocrats, these billionaire devils, all right, they're in the seat of saviors, man. You know, so they're presenting themselves as saviors for humanity. Okay, these false prophets. You know, that's why scriptures say that. This is how you know that we're in the last time. Because then we will see the rise of many anti-messiahs, you know. I was thinking about that too, 1 John. So that's how you know we're at the end. All right, 1 John 2:18. All right, and it reads. It says, 1 John 2:18. It says, little children, it is the last time, and as you have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now there are many anti-messiahs and antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. There you go. NLT, dear children, the last hour is here. You have heard the Antichrist is coming, and already many antichrists have appeared. From this we know that the last hour has come. We're in it, man. We're in that time. All right? All this shit is demonic.
Where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Doesn't work out.
This is really the path to abundance for all. If you say, people often talk about solving
global poverty, or essentially how do we give everyone a very high standard of living? I think the only way to do this is AI and robotics.
And my prediction is that there will be far more robots, like intelligent robots in the world than there will be people.
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves. The digital technologies mainly have an analytical power. Now we go into a predictive power, and we have seen the first examples, and your company very much involved into it. But then the next step could be to go into a prescriptive mode, which means you do not even have to have elections anymore, because you can already predict, and afterwards you can say, why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be.
The really big thing is hacking human beings. To hack human beings, you need a lot of biological knowledge, a lot of computing power, and especially a lot of data. If you have enough data about me, and enough computing power and biological knowledge, you can hack my body, my brain, my life. You can reach a point when you know me better than I know myself. And once you reach that point, and we are very close to that point, then democracy, the free market as we have, and actually all political systems, also authoritarian regimes, we have no idea what happens once you pass that point.
We don't need to wait for Jesus Christ to come back to earth in order.
Yeah, so you heard what he said. Okay, we are here. All right? The future system of control. All right? This new digital world they're bringing in. There you have it. Shalom.